Hello everyone, welcome to this new OET lesson, 5 things you must do for your OET success. I really hope you can hear me okay because at the moment I'm not in my usual home of London, but I've come to India and I'm going to be here for 3 months, and right now I'm in a town called Mangalore, which is very noisy. There's a lot of traffic outside and a lot of horns beeping and blaring. Lots of noisy people, so I do hope you can hear me okay, because in this video what we're going to do is look at 5 simple tips that are going to be useful for everyone and that are really easy to remember. There are so many things that you need to look at to do well in the OET, but today we're just going to go over 5 things that are really going to help you do well in your OET. My name's Sona, I'm your online OET trainer with Bose Learning, and I'm a premium preparation provider of the OET. Now that you know where I am, why not drop me a little comment, tell me where you are. If you're from Mangalore, I know a lot of you are, say hi. I'd love to hear from you. Why not share this with a friend or a colleague as well, and subscribe to us so you can keep up to date with our videos. Okay, so let me tell you tip number 1 then, and this comes from the OET Speaking subtest. And my first tip for you is to summarise. And not just summarise once, but summarise twice. What do I mean? Well, the first time you should summarise is after the patient or carer has explained their presenting complaint. And then the second time is at the end of the consultation. Let me give you a couple of examples. So let's imagine that the patient has come to you, you've asked your opening questions, which are of course an open question, a couple of open questions at the beginning, then some more closed questions. You've got all the information you need. This is a great time to summarise. So what you can say is something like, okay, so can I just check I've understood correctly? You said you've been feeling blah 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 blah, and then you repeat what the patient has said. It's a great way for the patient to realise that you've been listening, and it's a great way for them to add any information that they might need, and it's a great way for you to make sure you have everything correctly. So summarise there. Then there's lots of beeping outside, I'm so sorry. I find it really funny because in London we don't really hoot that often, but in India it's quite common. So the second place you should summarise is at the end. If you have time, and remember you just have 5 minutes for this role play, for each role play, but if you still have time, do summarise, and you can say something like, shall we just go over everything we've discussed today, and you list everything you've discussed with the patient. So my first top tip is to summarise twice. Okay, my second top tip is from the OET Writing subtest, and here I'd like you to make sure that you make the timeline clear. What do I mean? Well, what I want you to make sure you include in your letter is that the reader knows when something has happened. For example, when the patient underwent surgery. When did they first present with the complaint? Maybe that's significant. When will they be discharged? Maybe it's today. Maybe the reader is going to receive the patient today. Well, they need to know that. So make sure that the timeline is nice and clear, and any important dates, either in date form or something like 2 months ago, is fine as well. Make sure that's really clear in your letter so the reader knows when things happened or when things are going to happen. So, second top tip, make the timeline clear. Okay, tip number 3 comes from the reading subtest. And this is really simple. Do the questions in the order they are given. Why do I say this? Well, there is some crazy myth out there on the internet which tells you to do part A in reverse order. I've no idea why. It's crazy. It's insane, actually. Do part A in the order it's given to you because it's designed to help you. So the first section of part A asks you, where do you find information about da 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 da? You search the text, you find the information that is talked about, and then you write down the answer. Once you know that, you can then move on to the next parts, which ask for more detailed questions, such as gap fills or short answers, because you know which text to look at. You've already answered that in the first part. So do it in that order. Don't do it in some random reverse order. It just doesn't make sense. Also, for parts B and C, do those in order. Do part B next. Don't spend too long on it though, just spend 12 minutes or so on it, and then move on to part C. You'll need a bit longer here, and do part C in the order it's given, because the questions come in paragraph order. So if you know which question you're on, you know which paragraph to look at. If you don't know the answer to one, don't worry, skip it, make a little mark about where you are, and then come back to that. So do the questions in order that they're given to you, because they're there to help you. It's designed that way to help you. And my next top tip comes from the OET Listening subtest. This is to look for similarities and differences in the options, because being able to identify these similarities and differences will help you find the correct answer. Here's an example. So the question says, you hear a doctor talking to a teenage boy who has a painful wrist. The doctor wants to establish whether A, B or C. Now A and B talk about a fracture or a bone. So these are both about bones, whereas B talks about sprain. So it's slightly different. So look for those similarities and differences, and then look at the detail to find your answer. So tip 4, look for those similarities and differences. And then tip number 5 is a general tip, which is to read medical related articles, listen to podcasts, because they are going to help you. Don't just do practice tests, because all that does is practice, but you stay at the same level. You're not building your skills. You need to build your knowledge, your grammar, your vocabulary, and you do that by reading and listening to medical related articles and podcasts. You can find a list of this on the OET website, or I've gone through these as well. So have a look at those. Build your vocabulary, build your skills, and then do the practice test to time yourself. Okay, so to summarise then, what did we say the 5 top tips are? Number 1, make sure you summarise, in fact, after the patient carer has explained their presenting complaint and at the end of the consultation. Make sure the timeline is clear in the writing subtest. Do the questions in the order they're given to you in the reading. Look for those similarities and differences in the options that are given to you in the listening, and read and listen to medical related articles and podcasts to help build your knowledge and make sure and ensure that you do well in the OET. I know you guys don't have much time, but that really is my toppest tip for you. In fact, do that. Don't just do the test, because that really is not going to benefit you in any way. Please read and listen more widely. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little quick burst of 5 top tips for you. I'd be so happy if you could help me grow this channel. Send this to a friend or a colleague. Please subscribe, because I've got over 200 videos for you to choose from, so I'm sure you'll find something else that you'll like. I've got playlists for listening, reading, nurses, doctors, pharmacists, so do check it out. And if you want more detailed information about how to study for your OET, then why not check out my on-demand OET video courses. These are all pre-recorded self-access courses. They're about 3 hours long each, and they go through and give you an insight into the reading, writing, speaking subtests. I've given you some discount codes in the info box below, so check that out as well. And if you want to sign up for a free newsletter for a regular dose of all things OET, then the link is below as well. It's been so nice to see you today. Hopefully see you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye.